Hey everyone, it's Liam the Deaf to Metalhead with a video I want to do about album artwork. So I watched a video a little while ago now from a guy called Mike over at Black Sheep Requiem, it should appear above my head, talking about his all-time favourite artwork on a record, or his very first record he fell in love with artwork wise. And it got me thinking, because when I was a lot younger I would always go into a store or shop, depending where you live in the world, and I would buy albums or CDs purely based off the album artwork or the band name. So in my early teens, when I was old enough to go on the bus with my friends up into the city, I would go into all the record stores, HMV, Virgin Megastore when that was a thing, Woolworths, and small little record stores here in Norwich, and I would buy CDs purely with my pocket money based on the album artwork or the band name. Because at the time I was a new metal kid, I only knew a handful of bands, I didn't really know anything about metal at all, or proper metal is what I'd call it nowadays anyway. So I thought it'd be really cool to show some CDs that I got when I was a lot younger, purely based off the band name or the album artwork, and then a few LPs at the end of ones that I discovered purely based on the album artwork. So the first one, I got this when I was third year in high school, second year in high school, I can't really remember. But I had it originally burnt on a CDR for me by a friend who told me about the band Korn. I mean, I already knew who they were based off MTV, that kind of thing. But because we didn't have the internet back then, I mean, we had it, but we used it for emails and playing old PC games like from the 90s that I remember, like Grand Theft Auto, that kind of crap. So this album I discovered purely from a friend who burnt me a CD copy, and I didn't know what the album artwork looked like at all. I just knew the music. So when I had enough money, I went to the city, I found this album and I bought it there and then, and that is Korn's Untouchables. Now the album artwork is just purely some weird looking kids. Excuse me. So nothing really exciting what I'd buy an album for now, but back then, because I knew the music, I bought it, which is kind of normal for what you do nowadays. You check out an album on Spotify or on YouTube, and if you like it, you buy it. You know, you can't waste money. Well, I certainly can't spend money without knowing what I'm buying anymore. Those days are long gone where I could fucking, splash 50 quid and not really think about it. So I already knew what I was in for on this, and I wanted a physical copy because I like physical copy, as I still do to this day. I like it in my hands. I like to read the booklet, as we all do who watch these kind of videos. But this next album I bought purely on a whim. I knew the band name because people used to mention it, but I didn't really know any of their music or what they were about or any of that kind of thing. I just got into Metallica, and I was listening to the Black Album loads. Harvester of Sorrow, I found Justice for All was my favourite track, so I used to listen to that loads. So when I found this, when I was with friends in the city, I brought it there and then, and that is Slayer's God Hates Them All, or God Hates Us All even. And I got it purely because it said Slayer. I knew Slayer was cool. It had a Bible with nails in it. At the time I thought that was really cool. But it was really the album title that really hooked me in. So I picked it up. I remember it clear as day. I looked at it and I thought, ooh, that's really cool. Read all the names of the tracks, and it sounded nothing like Korn songs. They sound nothing like Metallica songs, really evil sounding. So yeah, I bought it there and then, and it's probably one of my favourite Slayer albums. Rain and Blood's my favourite, South of Heaven's probably my second favourite, and maybe third it'll probably be this one. Just because it's the first ever Slayer album I ever got. And yeah, I've had it ever since. This is an alternative cover. I think the other one is a white cover with gold crosses on it, which I probably wouldn't have bought if I saw that one. But this one, because it had the blood and the nails and the Bible, was the only reason I bought it. So there's Slayer. And then this is the first ever Iron Maiden album I ever got. I could say it's an album, it's not really an album, it's the greatest hits. But this is the first one I ever picked up, and that was Edward the Great, purely based on the album artwork again, and the band name. I mean, I kind of knew about Iron Maiden, I heard songs like Run to the Hills, The Trooper, stuff like that. I kind of knew about them, but I didn't know who Eddie was, I didn't know anything about the whole different albums, different artwork, that kind of thing. I only knew this because I saw this there and then. And because it had the two tracks on the back that I knew of, I bought it there and then. So yeah, and then I listened to this for absolutely years. I got loads of the greatest hits, like Somewhere Back in Time one, and then I kind of lost interest, and I'm slowly getting back into Maiden again and appreciating for what they are. and I do want to kind of pick up the other albums because I don't own any of the main ones or the classic ones, nothing like that. I own the last two. Yeah, the last two full-length studio albums, and they don't really do nothing for me. So yeah, Iron Maiden was another one. And then this one I got, I think the first time I saw the album artwork, I was in Butlins in Skegness on a family holiday. And in the UK, in the coastal towns especially, you'll get those shops that used to print on t-shirts with horribly waxy kind of print that would peel off after so many washes, after your mum washed your t-shirt so much. And I saw this and I instantly said to my dad, I want that now. I think it was like £8 or something like that, and that was my holiday money spent for that weekend we were away. And it was Judas Priest's Painkiller, and it had a t-shirt with just this bit on it, and it said Judas Priest on the top. It was definitely obviously a bootleg, but I remember having, that was probably my first ever metal t-shirt, maybe. I can't really remember. But I remember getting it and he was like, do you want that? And I was like, yeah, big time. And then a couple of years later, I found the CD and I bought this. I mean, this is a repress. I can't remember. I mean, this says 2009 on it, and that could be correct. I mean, I did buy it quite late on in my teens, but I do remember hearing this very early teens, like 13, 14 maybe. And it was just purely the album artwork. I had no idea about the band. I mean, my first Judas Priest album was Demolition with Tim Ripper Owens. I didn't know who Rob Halford was or anything like that. And then obviously I discovered British Steel, and then put two and two together that this was the same band. And yeah, that's how I discovered Painkiller, and that's one of my favourite Priest albums. Brilliant. And then another one I bought purely on the album artwork, knew nothing of the band, and this is probably, you could say, is my first ever black metal album I ever got. Even if you want to really call it black metal, it is, but it isn't as well. And that's Satyricon with Now Diabolical. I got this when I was in college. I saw the goat's head statue thing, and a kind of like devil horn thing on the T, and that was instant for me to go check this out and buy it. And it's actually a really, really good album, and I still listen to this now and again. This came out on Roadrunner back in 2006 apparently. I mean, that would be about the right time I got this, so it must have been new when I picked it up. And yeah, it's got like great tracks on it, like King, Now Diabolical. It's black metal, but it's very catchy, singy kind of metal. They're very memorable tracks. I wouldn't say they're blasting in your face kind of black metal where it's all over the top productions. This is essentially a pop metal album for black metal, I guess, if you could call it that, really. I don't know. Their older stuff sounds far more aggressive than this ever does. So yeah, Satyricon was another one I discovered purely based on the band name and the album artwork. And then this one I got quite late on. I was a death metal fan by then, but I only knew certain tracks from certain death metal bands from, like, I mean, I was one of those kids that got into torrenting quite young. Like, well, I say quite young, maybe 17, 18 years old. I started to torrent a lot. Use LimeWire, those hideous websites like that where you download a movie, you turn it on, it'd be like a porno, and your parents would walk in and be like, oh, and you'd be like, no, and you'd try and explain to them that you were downloading a heavy metal DVD, but you didn't get what you wanted. But I picked this up purely because I knew the band, and I knew one of the tracks, I think it's off the album World Downfall, was the one Don't Care, and that is Obituary. But I picked up this album purely based off the reputation of that track and the album artwork. I literally got this CD purely based off that album artwork. I knew of Obituary and I knew classics from like watching Sky TV and like MTV2, that kind of thing, but I never owned any of their CDs. Like Cause of Death, never heard of it. Slowly We Rock, never heard of it. But when I was shopping for albums, I saw that cover. Boom, had to have it straight away. I mean, this isn't that old. I can't remember when this came out, but I remember literally buying it there and then, just purely based off seeing the severed head. And I've got this on a tour t-shirt as well when I went and saw them live. And yeah, I still love that album artwork. And then last of the CDs was this one. This is a recent one I picked up last year. This was A Blind Buy. I knew they were Death Doom. I knew I liked the style because someone compared it to Hooded Menace. I was like, okay, I'll buy it because it was quite cheap. And that's a UK/Polish band, I believe. Eternal Rot. And Mark Riddick artwork. If anything Mark Riddick touches, I'm going to probably buy it because his artwork is stellar. I absolutely love his artwork. And that is the only reason I ever, went and picked a copy of this album up. 2 reasons, Hooded Menace comparison. The artwork was the main seal of the deal for me. I mean, the whole design, even the CD's got the artwork on it. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for me, and that is why I picked this up last year. And then a few LPs I picked up based off the album artwork. I had the torrent of them for years, so I kind of knew the album artwork. So when I used to do my downloads when I was younger, I'd make sure all the JPEGs were correct for the album, because I used to have an iPod and I'd sort them all by album artwork. So I was really anal about it. So I always used to research the correct album artwork for each album. So I already kind of knew what I was in for when I got the music. So this one I picked up just purely on the artwork when I downloaded it, and I now own it on LP, and that is Cryptopsy's None So Vile. A woman holding a severed head. I don't know why it appealed to me so much, but I just looked at it and was like, wow, I bet that sounds awesome. And this is a 10 out of 10 album by Cryptopsy. Their first one's really good, but after that they kind of disappeared for me style wise. I mean, I've seen them live once, I think, yeah. And I got the tour t-shirt with this artwork on it as well. And yeah, I love this album to death. Absolutely love this album. But yeah, that was the reason I got it, was purely off this album artwork. And then another one I picked up purely based off the album artwork is Skinless. And you can probably guess why. Savagery. I mean, look at that. That doesn't scream buy me, and you're a death metal fan, I don't know what does. I literally picked that up, looked at it. I spent a couple of seconds looking at it and I thought, yeah, I'll have to have that. And I got my mate to order it when he was doing an order online. I literally saw that. I kind of knew they were a death metal band. And it has a Crowbar cover on it, so I was like, I'm all in, because I love Crowbar as well. But I didn't know this band before this album. I picked it up, or when I saw the artwork, should I say. I knew nothing about them. I don't know the history of them. I don't really actually care. It just looks fucking cool, and it's a great album. And then lastly, one of my favourite album artworks in my collection. I picked this up last year. I've known about it for a little while, but I didn't know what the music sounded like. I kind of knew they were like Swedish HM2, but they were a German band. They got that feel to it. But the album artwork is the only reason I really wanted it, and that is Revel in Flesh, with I think it came out in 2019, The Hour of the Avenger. That album artwork is amazing. I keep meaning to buy this on a t-shirt, but the postage always puts me off buying it. It looks fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's a full gatefold with the same artwork on it as well, but a bit more detailed. I mean, that is amazing for me. I mean, I'd have that tattooed on me. It's that cool. Anything with a Grim Reaper on it, I'm all in. And the band name Revel in Flesh, yeah, it's just a no-brainer for me. So yeah, Revel in Flesh. So what do you think of this video? Do you, what's your opinions on albums? Do people still buy CDs based off band names or artwork? It's quite of a dying thing now. I mean, unless you have money to burn and you can go into a record store and you kind of flick through and you don't really know what you're looking for, you could do that. But obviously with COVID now, everything's online, and you don't blind buy anything. I mean, people either recommend it to you and you'll go and check it out, or you'll kind of already know what it is and buy it based off that merit. So it's kind of like an old thing to me now. But now and again, when I did have a chance to go in the city and flick through CDs, and I'd always pick out ones with certain artwork. But again, you get your smartphone out, you go on Discogs, you can even check the price, see if you're getting ripped off, that kind of thing. So it kind of takes away the whole feeling of buying it now. So what do you guys think? Does that something you guys still do? Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe if you're new to my channel and you like the content. There's loads of more cool stuff you can check out if you're interested. Also, like this video so YouTube kind of pushes it out to the masses and helps me out as well. And until then, I'll speak to you guys soon. Cheers.